800,000 travellers have been impacted by the malicious attack, which targeted railway networks across France on the day of the Olympic Games opening ceremony in France. Several trains carrying athletes for the Olympic Games were among those affected by the attacks.
On the Atlantic coast, we operate 250 trains a day. We had 4 trains with athletes, and 2 of them were able to operate. 1 was cancelled, and 1 is under process to be operated. So the impact on the opening ceremony is very, very few.
De Bourdieu added that trains in various parts of France are operating with delays that vary between 1 and 2 hours.
So we have 30,000 kilometers of railway in France, so it's a very large network. It's absolutely impossible to check all the points. What we are doing currently is some specific tour organized by experts on very targeted areas.
French officials condemned the attacks as criminal actions, though they said there was no sign of a direct link to the Games. Prosecutors in Paris opened a national investigation, saying the crimes could carry sentences of 10 to 20 years.
A little over a third of the Refugee Olympic team at the Paris Games are women. The female representation has continued to decline since the team's creation in 2015. While the International Olympic Committee emphasizes that this year's event will be the first gender-equal one in history, individual sports cases reveal a different story to the reality of the bigger picture.
They're, consistently promoting the achievements related to gender equality at the Games, but not then kind of enforcing or really requiring them of any national team, but even this refugee team over which they have control.
The number of refugees has tripled just in the last decade. Around half of them are women and girls. In addition to poverty and other issues that all refugees may face, women refugees encounter an added layer of oppression caused by gender discrimination. So for some, having the number of women athletes reach almost 40% is an achievement that should be celebrated.
I think we need to be really realistic that even the teams that are sending gender equal teams to Paris, it doesn't mean that women's sport is somehow solved in those countries. So yeah, we would love to see a gender equal refugee team at an Olympics in the future. Of course we would, but I think for this time we should really be celebrating the fact that these amazing women have made it this far.
However, not everyone shares this opinion.
I don't think it's enough. The teams at the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games can be used to raise awareness about and draw attention to the global refugee crisis that we have. Should also be drawing attention to that not everybody has the same experiences of being a refugee, and that there are these increased risks and challenges for women, for gender minority folks, for disabled folks, right, as refugees, and that all of that does influence who then ultimately gets to be or is able to be part of the Refugee Olympic and Paralympic teams.
The Olympic Refugee Foundation, which runs the team, states that a balanced representation in terms of sport, gender, and regions is taken into consideration. And to be eligible, athletes must be elite competitors in their respective sport and be refugees in their host country, recognized by the UN Refugee Agency.
Germany is hoping to avoid scenes like this, trains so packed that people are standing at the entrance. A countrywide effort to improve the railway system is underway. Right now, the route between Frankfurt to Mannheim is closed for repairs until December. Deutsche Bahn says heavily used corridors will be the focus. Repairs next year will force the closure of the route between Hamburg and Berlin, the 2 largest cities in the country. Some are still enjoying the freedom and accessibility that trains can bring. But Frank Cordes says repair works are causing him and his wife Karine headaches.
Wir haben jetzt schon Probleme, dass wir bestimmte Strecken gar nicht fahren können, weil die Züge gibt es gar nicht mehr auf den Strecken. Also besonders viele Nachtzüge zwischen Nord- und Süddeutschland, die wir regelmäßig benutzt haben, wenn wir zum Beispiel nach München fahren, die gibt es gar nicht mehr, die fahren gar nicht mehr aktuell. Das ist für uns ein ganz großes Problem, da Alternativen zu finden inzwischen, ja.
Germany is not the only European country facing closures. The Amsterdam to London Eurostar route won't be running until next year due to construction. But Germany has an especially notorious reputation for late arrivals. The railway carrier is hoping the much-needed repairs to old tracks will change that. Railway advocates say the closures will be difficult for passengers.
Past governments have neglected the railway, and not just for a few years, but for decades. So what we have now are problems you can't solve within 2 or 3 months. You really have to do it very thoroughly, and that's why we think that we now have to get through this. We have to really bear this very hard time.
For now, passengers are being offered replacement buses for the closed routes, but that won't make things easier for some.
Es wird wahrscheinlich schwierig sein, wenn so viel repariert werden muss, das zu verbessern. Ich weiß nicht, wie weit man da, also es wird ja schon vieles umgeleitet und es gibt ja auch Busse, die fahren. Das ist für uns aber dann schon wieder schwierig, die zu nehmen. Ja, ich weiß jetzt tatsächlich nicht, was die Bahn besser machen könnte, aber ja, jetzt sind wir mal gespannt, was sie da hinkriegen. Ja.
The construction work will also include renovations of stations across Germany, which Deutsche Bahn says will offer passengers more comfort.
Austrian police are trialling the Taser electroshock weapon system as they consider rolling it out across the entire force. Around 70 Taser units are being used in the trial in 3 high crime areas in the capital, Vienna. A police spokesperson rejected claims that the potential adoption of the weapon was due to increased violence between migrant gangs in the country. Austria has been reluctant to roll out the use of the Taser due to reports of people dying after getting electroshocked.
Artificial intelligence is everywhere and has of course made its way to the Paris 2024 Olympics. At the Intel stand at the Stade de France, you can use AI to test your body strength to see which sport you best perform in. For the moment, it includes 12 sports such as football, table tennis and sprinting. Let's see how it works. My body is scanned and put to the test to see my reactions, strength and speed. Intel is the official AI platform partner for Paris 2024. But this tech is not just for spectators at the Games. It could spot the next sporting talent anywhere in the world.
We did a really great experience in Senegal with the IOC where we actually took very similar technology to Senegal and worked with the Senegalese Olympic Committee to identify the next set of Olympians. So we tested over 1,000 children in Senegal all around the country using mobile phones and AI platform technology to identify which athletes have that potential to be the next Olympian. I hope that this technology has a role to play, and we think that there's going to expose so many more opportunities for athletes around the world. You can reach areas at a very low cost and figure out how to find athletes in all corners of the world and for all sports.
As for me, I'm probably not going to be the next Olympian, but it turns out my strengths lie in heptathlon.
Gli occhi del mondo sono puntati sulla capitale olimpica e sulla Francia, che da 7 anni si preparano per accogliere le Olimpiadi. Parigi 2024 vuole stupire, vuole andare oltre i limiti, ma a che prezzo? Sono venuta a Parigi per fare luce sulle zone d'ombra di questa grande festa dello sport.
Les Jeux ont été pour la ville un très gros accélérateur. Ce qu'on aurait mis peut-être 10 ou 15 ans à faire, on a réussi à le faire en 4 ou 5 ans. Ça nous a permis de transformer certains quartiers. On a engagé des gros travaux d'aménagement et d'infrastructure.
Les installations sont obsolètes puisque la plupart des installations sportives en Seine-Saint-Denis ont entre 40 et 50 ans d'âge. On a 16 installations pour 10 000 habitants, alors que la moyenne au niveau Île-de-France est de 25 et la moyenne au niveau national est de 50.